everybody. I think I'm live, even though I'm getting the wheel, but I'll just go with it. Hi, I'm Rocío, one of the group moderators and resident writing coach in Kathy May 16. And if you're here, that means you are listening to me going live. And I wanted to let you know thank you so much for joining us. Please put in the comments where you're coming from. I think I can see comments. Let me see. And also, if you're watching the replay, please go ahead and put the hashtag team replay, if you would, in the comments so that we know who is watching and from where, maybe. So today it's going to be, I'm going to be tied for time because I put it all together on my notes and it's a lot of info, but I'm going to try to keep it still short. And I'm talking about one important writing system to try if you don't always have time to write. And that I think is a very common problem for many of us. So not having the time or feeling like we don't have the time means that we don't have the time, but also that we need to make it really, really punchy and really count for more than what it would otherwise when we actually get the time for writing, if that makes sense to you. So those writing times need to be super focused when we actually get them. And we essentially have to feel like we're doing a day's worth of work in that 1 hour. And that can be overwhelming. So that means that our stress levels can be really high because of that one time that we get to write. And it's like everything is on our shoulders. And so, no pressure. You have to make it a day's worth of writing in 1 hour. So it's a lot to have to deal with when we're writing, and especially when we feel like we're already overloaded and we don't have time. And so this live is focused on that one important writing system that I feel that you can give it a try. And I'm going to walk you through, the kinds that there are out there, generally speaking, and what's the good of the system so that it actually works for you, because it's actually one of my favorite writing systems, and it's because it's so flexible that one can tailor it to our own needs based on our season in life. So as you know, there are a few strategies, a few systems to use for this kind of problem. This is just one of them, but I wanted to make sure that I jumped in to touch base and tell you all about co-writing. That's the one system that we're talking about today. If done right, co-writing can also help you with more than just writing. And I've been doing this for quite a bit, the co-writing, facilitating co-writing groups and whatnot. And so if you do it well, you can actually help it not just for your writing, or helps not just for your writing, but it also can help you sustain mentoring relationships. It can boost your creativity. It can tackle imposter syndrome, which is a really important thing that we all have to face at times. And it can also develop a sense of belonging, not just in your field, but in a specific community. And so that's very important. And of course, there are many other benefits of co-writing. I really love co-writing, as you can tell. So let me just start by reiterating how much I love systems. And it's because they help us get, or at least for me, they help me get a sense of security, of stability. And I have a highly variable chronic disorder called myasthenia gravis. And so I need to plan ahead, and be flexible, because I know that those plans are not always going to work because, variable symptoms. And so having this one system and how flexible it is to tailor to my specific needs based on the season of life, based on my symptoms, it's really been a game changer, if you want to call it that. So as I mentioned, my body just hasn't worked as normal for most of my academic journey. And so I felt that, this writing system was the one thing that I could use to sustain the writing that I need to get done, and also all the things that I need to get done. So perhaps you're not living with a chronic disorder like I am, but chances are you are living in a somewhat intense, very different year, because of many, many reasons, not just COVID-19. And so maybe you have less bandwidth, maybe you have less time, maybe you have less focus time when you actually get that time. And so I wanted to jump in and talk about this important system. The first thing to talk about when it comes to co-writing is to give you the four main reasons why I think co-writing is an important system to at least try. First of all, it helps us develop consistency. And that's a very important thing. You can meet at specific times, whether you're scheduled your meetings or not. And that consistency is going to help you sustain your writing, even when you don't have time. Those are the specific times you meet, you honor those times. If it's scheduled, that's the second reason why it's important. If it's scheduled, and that's actually the best way to do co-writing, in my opinion, it helps you protect your time. It helps us give our writing, center our writing, and give our writing the importance that it should have for our careers. Points one and two are going to feed right into the third reason why co-writing is important. And it's because it can help us foster good relationships with our own writing, with our writing community. When it's done right, again, writing in a community can really do so many other things beyond the writing itself. It can help us create new mentoring relationships. It can help us network. And in fact, you can use the co-writing to be a way for networking. That's another life. It can boost our creativity. It can tackle imposter syndrome, which is something that's super helpful for many, many times in our lives when we have to deal with that, especially now. And again, one of the things that I have found through my experience in co-writing is that it also helps develop this sense of belonging, which is incredible because that empowers you to continue being the scholar you want to be and also your own writing. So let's cover really quickly the two main kinds of co-writing, generally speaking, because then if I give you this information, you can actually go and find the co-writing groups and systems that work for you. And so let me just let you know that I'm I'm breaking it down into two main kinds of co-writing, but within those, or because of these two, you can actually, there are many variations. And so there's no reason to think that co-writing is a one size fits all type of thing. So keep in mind that these are two kinds. It really can take in any shape or form that you need it so that it fits your own needs. So the first kind of co-writing is the one where the goals are shared by voice. There's feedback on the writing piece that you're working on, and in general, there's more talking. And that's very much part of the same the actual co-writing. You also have the designated times when you write together in silence, but it's almost like equal parts talking and equal parts writing. The second kind of co-writing is the one that favors really the writing in silence itself. And so for that, the goals are shared by text, electronically. There's no feedback associated in this kind of co-writing, so you don't show up with a piece and you don't peer review it per se. And the talking really only happens at specific times in the meeting, and sometimes, for the most part, it can happen at the end of the meeting or before, and as soon as you start, as soon as you finish, kind of like checking in. And this is actually my favorite kind of co-writing. And so, again, from these two main kinds of co-writing, there are many other variations. And so in a way they can be used even at the same time. You can have different co-writing groups that meet with different specific structures, but they all require work to set up and to sustain. And so after doing a lot of work through the years with co-writing, my suggestion is that if you haven't tried this yet and you're going to try to connect with a group that's already doing it, and so that there is a structure in place, there is even a schedule in place, there's a community in place, and so you can just insert yourself into that group and community, and then you don't have to spend so much time in the labor part of the co-writing setting up per se. And so in fact, I actually suggest that you try a few kinds of a few groups in co-writing, not just one, so that you can get a feel, because what you're going to find is that through the seasons in life that you're going to encounter, and also through the semesters in the school year, some co-writing groups are actually going to be a little better suited to fit some needs. And then that same system that works now may not be the one that you want to use later on. So try a few for a little bit. You don't have to do them all at once, but give it a try. Keep up with it for a few times, and then make up your own mind. So before I summarize, I wanted to repeat that again, there are many variations of these two main systems that I cover, or two main variations of the same system. And there's no need to think that one size fits all. So that's something to really keep in mind, because it will empower you to take on the co-writing and just make it your own. However, some variations work better for some seasons of life than others. And so you want to try a few to just have them in your toolbox of resources to use for co-writing when you need them. And so the main goal in general for the co-writing, again, is to really create that focus, to foster the good relationships with our writing, with our own community, to center our writing, to give it the importance that we need. And that in itself is going to really help that mindset to focus and give it the time when it needs to be. The accountability, the community also does help. That's one of the powerful reasons why we have co-writing, so that you can actually, keep getting energized and re-energized through your own community. And so in this short life, actually, I made it short, yay. We talked about one important writing system to try if you don't always have the time to write, and that is co-writing. Co-writing is super important for me, and I feel that is the one tool that the one system that you want to check out, if anything, for mostly for four main reasons. And it's because it can help you develop the consistency that you need, meeting at specific times, even if you don't have them scheduled, knowing that there's a group that you can join in when you can or you need it, when you have some time to write, then that can in itself help you develop the consistency that you need. If the times are scheduled, which is the best way, in my opinion, to do it, even if it's just like scheduled once a week, if you have it scheduled, it helps protect your time. You know, you put it on your calendar, nobody can touch it. It's almost like having an appointment or a meeting with your provost or, the chair of the department or somebody who you're not just gonna cancel because somebody needs you, some email needs to be replied. It's your writing time. You're going to protect it and you're going to follow through. And chances are, if you put everything aside, you're going to focus for that 1 hour, 45 minutes, however long your writing community is meeting. And so that helps with our own writing to foster that good relationship, to give it its importance, but also to, you know, to take care of things that we need to take care of because that's our core requirement in our careers. And so when done right, the fourth reason why writing is important is that it can amplify so many other things in our own professional and even personal lives. It can amplify our mentorship, our networking, it can boost our creativity, it can tackle imposter syndrome, and all of these topics are probably going to be covered in different lives that we're going to have with Gina and Kathy. But in a sense, I feel that this system is really good for even touching on and tackling a few of these issues. And very importantly, develop a sense of belonging. So when you are inserted in a true community for your own co-writing and you feel like you belong and it reinforces your sense of belonging in your field because of the good work and writing that you're doing, that is priceless. And so I recommend finding a co-writing community or a few actually. So as I mentioned before, the convenience of going with a group that's already set up is actually going to save you a lot of labor and not just putting together the structure, but actually fostering that community. It's a lot easier to jump in and get to know the people than if you have to, you know, kind of like get the people together. And I'm speaking from experience. And so one thing that I want to talk about is that if you join our Momentum community, we have a program that is like a membership co-writing program called Momentum. And so if you take advantage of that, you don't only get the co-writing that we do together every day, but you also gain access to special events. And these are mostly client-only events. So for anyone in our programs with Kathy Masak. And so there are a lot of those that you can take advantage of. They're not required, but they are there for you to use. And so note that this momentum program is actually it falls in line with the co-writing kind number two that I mentioned, which where most of the writing is done together and in silent. And so basically what happens is that we get together on Zoom and there are specific schedule coach-led meeting times where you can actually jump in and do your own writing. And, we encourage each other. There are a few systems in place so that you make sure that you stay on the ball. But in general, we encourage that community feel with various activities. And so you're also welcome to use the same Zoom link that's open 24 hours a day so that you meet with your momentum writing buddies. And so you have, some schedules, some structure, times, but also flexibility. So if you're looking for a motivated, dedicated writing group to help you keep up with your writing and, keep a date and honor that date with your writing too, then you definitely want to check out Momentum. If you don't know how to join Momentum, don't worry. I'm going to put in the comments the email address that you can use to email us with questions. And if you join, and that is writing at kathymaisa.com. But if you join this month before, yeah, it has to be this month because we're going to have a workshop coming up where we're going to do a pre-writing sprint workshop for the sprint that we're going to do. It's a 2-week sprint that we're going to do at the beginning of October. So the pre-writing sprint is going to happen, I think it's October 1st. And so if you join this month, you can actually jump into that call, that workshop, and make it happen, make the magic happen. So, anyway, thank you so much for listening. I stayed at 15 minutes. Yay! I will see you next time. Be safe, be well, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye bye.